because that's where I save all my lives. So I used to always start right at the beginning with YouTube, but now I just wait till I'm finished, get enough people to get going. Okay, so welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. That's one-on-one with me. That would be, sorry, there's a big wait list for that, but I'll get to you eventually if you're interested in that. If not, just check out my courses. And if you don't want to give me any money at all for anything, most of what we do is completely free. And I would say if you go on that podcast, and the first BratBusters Parenting podcast, it's on YouTube. And on YouTube, we have BratBusters Parenting is the channel. And we have 7 podcasts in there. It's just free. And it's basically all the basic information with this stuff, okay? You know, most people are never going to hire me. And this is a caring industry. This is like a passion of mine. So the bigger the reach and the more free stuff we have out there, the more people we can help, right? And that is, I've been doing this for about 20 years now. So that is my goal. Absolutely love what I do. I'm very lucky. But anyway, okay. Yes, it's long. Yeah. Annabelle. It's not Sherry. It must be Sherry. Wouldn't be Cherry. Sherry Van Westrian and Nina from Maryland, snowing here. Ooh, snow is beautiful. I mean, I live downtown, and if it does snow down here, it's just gorgeous. But then after a day, it just turns brown because everyone walks in it, right? Kentucky, and it's been windy, snowing all day. Snow is beautiful, I must admit. I just hate driving in it. Okay, this is Gwen. I have a 6-year-old who will not leave my side. So we've been homeschooling and taking her to work with me. We have, oh, interesting. You didn't finish that, actually. You have a 6-year-old who won't leave your side. Now, are you homeschooling because she won't leave your side and you're taking her to work because she won't leave your side? I would have to investigate that. I'm not too sure what's going on there. But yeah, do you just give into that? She says, I want to be with you all the time. Or is she traumatized in some way? Like, is there a good reason why she doesn't want to leave your side? Or is it just because she wants to be with you? And do you want her to be with you all day too? I don't know. I would have to investigate that. You know, I love mothering, and I loved it when my kids wanted to be with me, but I was very pro pushing them to get out there and do stuff on their own too, because you want to prepare them for the world, right? My daughter was Velcro. She just wanted to be with me all the time, but it was cute. When she was 3, I put her in ballet class, and it was in the same room. I was in that room with her. We were just on chairs because they were just little wee kids, right? 3 years old. So they were doing ballet, and she was starting to cry. She didn't want to be there. She was starting to cry, and she looked over at me. This is the face she saw on me was like, you're all right. And she went, oops, and she was fine. I don't give into that stuff. I'm just like, you'll survive. I'm right here, for God's sake, you know. Ola from South Carolina. That Chabalita or Shabalita. Sorry, I say your names wrong all the time. Hi, my 18-and-a-half-month-old is very temperamental. My husband wants to pop him for thing, but I want to take the gentle approach. Acting out. Okay. He's just kind of just coming out of babyhood. And when you said pop him, you mean spanking? Yeah, I don't recommend any of that. So check out my free behavior board. It has a toddler section in it. It's like 2 little mini courses. It's completely free. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. It'll go through all the basics with this, but I will read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. That is the discovery stage. They're going to try stuff, right? Okay. Here it is. My top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with your toddlers in their world. You don't connect at the nail salon. It's okay. You can take them with you places like that, but you really connect when you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. So it's in their world and you're doing it with them. You're not just sitting back applauding and saying, good girl, good boy. You're doing it with them. That's how you connect. Play is their love language, okay? Number 4, discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions, right? So, yeah. I wasn't going to go on a huge rant about this, but, you know, I know it's really trendy to discuss all their big feelings and big emotions. But it's wrong. It's just garbage. It's very patronizing because that's not their language. If you've got a 2-year-old, their language is actions. They're watching you. So you use consistent corrective actions. You might just say one word very gently. You just say no, and then you take action. Remove them from the fun or the fun from them. Okay, it's not about discussing all the big feelings and big emotions. It's crap. I call that a mini therapy session. It's just garbage. It's very disrespectful because that's not their language. That's yours. You're trying to pull them into your adult world. They're not there yet. They're going to parrot whatever you say. Yes, mommy. Yes, daddy. It's going in one ear and out the other. Okay. Oh, and number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and the first year you were a potato laying in a mattress. I mean, they're just forming. Imagine they might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. They're going to try stuff. Three-nager. You know, it's funny whenever someone hires me and they might have a 9-year-old. She's 9 going on 19. No, she's not. You talk to me again in 10 years when she's 19. You know, they will sort of, how do I call it? Like mimic older kids, or you say three-nager. Yeah, don't put ager at the end of a 3. They are still babies at that, almost babies at that age. Okay, 3 is a fork in the road. When they turn 3, they have the ability to stop and think before they act. They're kind of reasoning things out. They're starting to use some common sense here. So what they do is they blow out the candles in their 3rd birthday cake, and then they go like this. Do my parents know what they're doing or not? Like, am I going to get easier or worse? It's that fork in the road. If you're a leader, they get easier. If you're not, they get worse. Or they might just be easy kids anyway, right? Boy, a lot of people are homeschooling these days. I won't go into it, but there's a few different reasons for that. But anyway, yeah, really common. I don't have an opinion on it, by the way. It's one of those things. It's like religion. It's a personal choice. It's like breastfeeding till they're 5, co-sleeping. Those are all personal choices, right? So I don't have an opinion on them. Anyway, this is Janelle. My son is starting school this year, and I'm leaning toward homeschooling. Any tips and tricks for keeping teacher personas separate than mine? Have a system, have it all up on the board, visual cues, have big calendars and big clocks and very visual cues. Classrooms have a lot of visual cues, right? And they have systems, and stick to that. Stick to those time blocks. Stick to that routine. Stick to that schedule. And then when it's over, then you can go roll in the mud with them afterwards. But yeah. Schedule, routine, structure. Could you imagine if you got a job and they said, yeah, you can come in around 9 or 8 or 4? Yeah, they like structure. We all like structure, even adults. In this society, though, you're mean mom when you do that. Do what? What did I do? What did I answer? Let me go back and find, because I want to lean into that. Oh, three-nager. Followed your tips that she's giving you a run for my money to. What did I say that? Oh, well, I don't get a lot of pushback anymore. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I love that. But yeah. You know what's interesting is the pleaser parent style. I know it's trendy. It sounds lovely, but it's a disaster. They don't respect you ever right through the teen years. You know, I always say you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I'm trying to get my point across. But yeah, if you're trying to please them and make everything easy for them, even chores, you want them to have participation awards. What a disaster. Anyway, yeah, where's their pride? Where's their dignity? They know they haven't done anything. You know, it's just ridiculous. So anyway. Oh, you're asking me about how to get medicine into a kid. Yeah, I won't discuss medicine because I'm not a doctor, so I can't discuss that. When they crash out, just remove them from the situation. You mentioned the gentle parenting and acknowledge. No, I don't talk about gentle parenting because I've never read anything about it. But I have a big umbrella, which is called pleaser parent style. That's what I do talk about a lot. It's like there's the old-fashioned authority, and then the pendulum swung the other way, and the pleaser parent. The authority is not a bad way to parent, okay? But they will rebel in the teen years if they have it in them, okay? The authority. But it's not a bad way to parent. You're raising confident individuals usually. You know, it's okay. It's great. It's not bad. The pleaser parent style, on the other hand, is total disaster. The schools are just fed up with that. You know, it's a disaster. You're not raising strong individuals who have a lot of pride and treat people well. That's usually what I see. Also, the pleaser parents are the most likely ones to yell because nothing's working. So they get frustrated and they yell because they don't know what else to do. Like, I've never been yelled at. I've never yelled. I teach leadership. So it's just different. Okay, this is from Eric on YouTube. My 2.5-year-old was drawing with markers and then he started playing with them near the couch. After one warning, we took the markers away but let him use crayons was the word. Okay, you know what? It's almost like, how do I explain this? You throw an alcoholic in a liquor store and expect him not to drink. It's sort of like that. Like if my kids were doing any arts and crafts with crayons, paints, Play-Doh, anything, they were sitting up. They were sitting at a desk. They were at a table, usually the kitchen tables where they did all the craft stuff. So yeah, you're kind of setting them free and then expecting them to be able to hold themselves back from drawing on a couch. I kind of think you're setting them up for failure. You're expecting too much from a 2.5-year-old. So yeah, I have a specific area that's safe. Where, like, I didn't even let them sit up against the wall when they were doing. I had a kitchen table up against the wall, but they had to sit on the outside, so they couldn't even draw on the wall. So, because they're little, they're going to try stuff, right? Oh, here's the thing about acknowledging emotions in this pleaser parent style. I know it's trendy to do so. The thing is that when you're a leader, they tend to be kind of happier all the time anyway. So there's not all these big emotions to deal with. You know, the more where you put your energy and focus is what grows. I let them deal with when they're upset. Now, if something bad happens, of course, I'm right there consoling them. You know, so someone hit you, I'm right in there, right? Like a dirty shirt. You know, sometimes that happens. I'm really sorry that happened, blah, blah, blah. But if they're just mad that they didn't get their own way, that's none of my business. I let them process that, get it all. I'm never going to go in and enter into that ever. I'm never going to discuss it. Nothing. That's their job to figure it out. As soon as they're done, I go, oh, y'all done? Do you want to go read a book? Do you want to go to the park? You see, that's the low road. They're mad because they didn't get their own way. That's the low road. Okay? I stay on the high road. I let them join me. I'm a leader. I want them to join me on the high, happy road. I don't go down to the low, miserable road with them. Why would I do that? I'm a leader. I'm leading by example. I'm exhibiting where I want them to go. It's like, yeah, you're mad you didn't get your own way. That's okay. But I'm not saying anything. I'm just letting them process all that. Okay, so you got a 4-year-old who will not poop in the potty. Usually a boy. Is it a boy? Yeah, grandson. I got some reasons for that. I got one reason for that usually. They got more equipment hanging out down there, and I'll tell you why that matters. Okay, there's 3 reasons why usually kids won't poop in the toilet or in a potty even. Is they might have had splashback, and they don't like that. And being a boy, they have more stuff hanging out down there. They might have cold bum, and they might have hanging phobia. Because when they're pooping, they take longer, so they get cold, and also hanging phobia. When that poop's coming out, it hangs in midair, okay? So if you've tried to get them to go on the toilet, they don't want to go in the potty, but you're showing them a different way. You say, from now on, we're going to just use the potty when you have to go poop. We're going to put some toilet paper in the bottom. We're going to hike up the heat so you're nice and warm. Now that toilet paper will be touching their bum. When they poop in their pants, they're used to having something up against their bum. The toilet paper should be touching their bum. There's no water for splashback. And you can, if you don't want to hike up the heat in just the bathroom, you can literally just put like a throw around them. And plug your nose when you take that throw off afterwards. You said your 3-year-old has 0 interest in using the potty. I don't care if they have any interest. I'm going to train them anyway. My kids are both 2.5. I trained my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days. I have a whole potty training system. That's not something I give away for free because it's a very long system. You have to buy that. That's on both of my boot camp courses. I keep showing this because I found it the other day. About 20 years ago, I wrote a book and it was the potty training system. I called it a potty party. Anyway, I used to do a lot of TV and radio and that back in the old fashioned days. And they asked me to come on and talk about potty training. So I brought that book on. And it was a breakfast TV or whatever it's called here in Vancouver. And they had actually bought a toilet from the Home Depot for me to go on the TV with. I thought, And it was very sweet they did that. They were so proud that they did that. And I thought, wow, I'm on TV with a toilet. What a classy broad. I think that was the same day too. I probably shouldn't say all this, but I don't have a filter. I think that was the same day that the next guest after me was some bachelorette or something, one of those. She was going to be on the show and they were all abuzz. They couldn't wait to get rid of me in my toilet. So yeah, and here's how I get potty trained. And then they had this gorgeous young bachelorette. Couldn't get rid of the old lady fast enough. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. Because people come and go in these lives. I've learned that. Okay. My child didn't want to poop on the potty. I waited till she was crouching, about to go, held her on, and she learned it wasn't scary. Yeah, that can work too, but you got to be right there on top of that, right? So yeah, that can work too, for sure. Okay. I'm going to read this out. This is Taylor on YouTube. Thoughts on misbehavior during bedtime routine. He'll be 3 in a month. He runs away, avoids parts of the routine, I'm guessing. And he started kicking and hitting as I'm tucking him in. Sometimes getting his sister a baby. Okay. I don't, okay. Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on there. By the way, when I first get a client in coaching, we don't deal with bedtime battles right away. We deal with other stuff. Like I would put no hitting on the board. And deal with that first. So it's kind of a tougher one, the bedtime battles. I've got tons of videos on that if you want to check it out. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. You can put, he's almost 3 in a month. You could put it on the board, follow bedtime routine. That's the first part, how to get them in bed. The next day you say, by the way, you didn't follow the bedtime routine. You wouldn't get in the bath, blah, blah, blah. So here's your consequence. You never punish at night. You wait till the next day. But the second part is the hard part, how to keep them in bed. That one you deal with at night. You don't put it on the board or anything. The bedtime routine is just getting them into bed, bath, changing them, all that. The second part is keeping them there. You just keep walking them back to bed, walking them back to bed. You don't look at them or talk to them. The first time you might say, I said it's bedtime, stay in bed. The second time you say one word, bedtime. Every time after that, you just walk slow, don't look at them or talk to them. Walk slow, keep putting them back to bed. Actions speak louder than words. It's one of the most successful things of everything I teach is bedtime battles. Hard to do, but worth it. But yeah, if he's hitting you and he's that out of control, I probably wouldn't deal with that first. I'd probably get a behavior board and deal with some other, the hitting probably first. Greetings from Gambia. How are you? I'm great. Thank you. Gambia. I don't think I've had any clients there. I got clients all over the world. I've learned so much about different cultures. It's fascinating. I have to make some adjustments to my style depending on different cultures sometimes, which I love. You know what I've learned is every single country and culture has things that are better and things that are worse. We're all the same people. We all want the same things though. Do you know what I mean? Like we all have strengths and weaknesses within our countries and cultures. That's all of us do. It's what you're familiar with. You seem to think is right. But if you're raised in a different culture, then that seems right. So I just love all that stuff. But yeah, we're all the same. We all want to feel connected. We all want to be happy. Everyone in the world, they all want the same things. We're all the same. Okay, so you got a handful there. This is Irina, need of help. Yeah, you might want to check out the boot camp course. That is the older one for 3-year-old and up. You might want to check that out, okay? Because you might need that extra help if you're really going through it. You can try the free behavior board, but if you're on this fence and you think you're going to get the boot camp course, hold off on doing that behavior board until you're sure you're not going to get the course, because the course has the behavior board in it, but it's a lot more detail. But yeah, I would suggest the course, to be honest. Because we are suffering. Yeah, parenting's hard, like, if you got no experience or, it's hard. Yeah. To be honest, the reason I teach it is I found it easy. I just did. I worked with hundreds of kids. By the time my kids came along, they didn't stand a chance. I knew what I was doing. And I loved it. It was fun. It was just fun. We just laughed and had a blast. But it's the only thing I'm really good at. Like, I don't teach anything else, as you've noticed. I have taught sewing and fitness, but not, I don't do that anymore. But anyway, never want to take parenting advice from someone who didn't find it easy. Because it is a real skill and it's an experience-based one. A lot of, I think, intuition too. I started babysitting and volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. I was a weird kid. It's always mothering. But yeah, if it doesn't come naturally, or if you haven't had a lot of experience, it can be one of the hardest things you can do. Like DB Carpenter, hardest thing I've done. Yeah, I can see that. A lot of things I find difficult that you'd probably find easy. So we're all different, right? That's why I'm on here teaching this. Everyone's got a skill they could teach, right? Okay, I'll address this, but I don't really have an answer for it, and you'll understand why in a minute. This is from Bree. My son eats at daycare, but at home he's so fussy. Any tips? Well, a few reasons for that. He knows he hasn't got probably any option. He's just got to eat there. A little bit of social pressure. He's probably not quite as relaxed around the teacher, or the teacher might be a good leader. Okay, I can't really discuss how you get a fussy kid to eat because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not qualified to do so. But I will tell you what I did with my own kids. Well, for one thing, we didn't have any junk food in the house at all, like none. I'm a real health food nut. So we literally had no potato chips. If we did, it was like we went out specially just for a special movie night or something. It wasn't something that was in the house. So my kids weren't used to having, like, they knew that what was put in front of them was kind of all they were going to have. They knew that healthy food was the only option, right? Most people don't want to live like that, but that's part of what made it easy for me. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just telling you what I did with my kids. But I also believe that children have very sensitive palates, some more sensitive than others. Those are the fussier kids, right? But the fact that he'll eat at school says to me it's more of a manipulation thing. Because if he eats the same stuff, it sounds to me like it's the same sort of food at daycare than at home, right? And you just won't eat at home. Sounds like he's manipulating you a little bit. He knows that he's got some options and some control over you. But anyway, what I did with my kids was I cooked around their palates. I knew what they liked and I cooked around that. But I was really good at hiding healthy stuff in everything. And I made everything from scratch. God, I hate cooking. But anyway, I did it. God, I hate it. Anyway, every time I talk about cooking, I have to say I hate it. I hate it that much. I hate it. I cook with hate. I hate it with a passion. It's so messy because I love cleaning. I love cleaning up. If people come over to my place for dinner, you just give me a grocery list. I'll do all the shopping. I am a vegan, but I'll I don't mind having meat. If other people are meat eaters, I won't eat it, but everyone else can have it. But yeah, if you're coming to my house for dinner, you're cooking. But I'll do all the shopping and all the cleaning up. But you're doing the cooking. I hate it. I'll do the prep work though. Anyway, I cooked around. Like one time, my son went out for pizza. Oh, happy birthday, Tabitha! I had that written down on my calendar. Tabitha's birthday today. Happy birthday. Tabitha is a real regular. It's very rare for her to miss a live. And she said it was her birthday today. So happy birthday. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. My son went out for pizza for the very first time, as I made everything from scratch at home. And he said when he came home, he was about 5 or something. And he came home and he says, Mom, the pizza was really weird. The sauce was red. He thought sauce on a pizza was supposed to be brown because mine always had pureed spinach in it. So, just gives you an idea of how sneaky what pancakes were another really good thing to hide stuff in. I hid all sorts of healthy stuff in there. You can put anything in pancakes. It's hard to hide the green stuff, but I would just tell him it was green cheese. And if it's in there, like broccoli was in there, he didn't know the difference, right? Oh, that's green cheese. Yeah, he loved cheese. Oh, you're very welcome, Tabitha. You've probably got family around. You probably got to go and celebrate your birthday. How's the tea? Yeah, my daughter bought me, one of the gifts I got for Christmas was a mug warmer. Best invention ever, because I'd make a cup of tea and I would leave it and it would go cold and I'd never even get to sip probably more than one sip. Now I always finish my cups of tea. Okay. Oh, if they don't eat tea, they say they're hungry later. You must be in Australia. In Australia, they call dinner tea. Because I was there for 20 years with my kids. So my kids are born and raised. So yeah, so what if they say they're hungry later? That dinner is in the fridge and I covered it up. Now I can heat it up for you. Oh, you're still hungry. Oh, thank goodness, because I saved your dinner. Yeah, that's what I would do. Okay, here we go. Good question. I get asked this every so often. This is from Hope Neal. How can you explain to a 4-year-old that grandpa is never coming back? A lot of that depends on your religion. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. But I would just say, well, they're probably watching you. Maybe they're, I still think that's a nice, because we talk about Santa and all that too. So, I just said, well, they're not going to see them in person anymore, but they're watching you and, stuff like that. But yeah, you can't explain death to some kid. You can't make it easy for adults. How can you make it easy for kids? Parents want to make everything easy for their kids. You can't. Grief is hard. You never get over losing someone. I lost my dad when I was 14 and I'm 65. 51 years later, I still think about him every single day. He would probably not believe that. He was a very humble guy, probably thought we'd forget about him, but no, my whole life has been kind of, it cast a shadow on my whole life, losing him that young. And you think my mother could have made that easy for me? No. But you learn to live with grief. It made me a better person. I'm a very compassionate person. Probably was more selfish before that, right? Normal, most people are. But yeah, if someone's in trouble, I'm one of the first one in there, like a dirty shirt, So gave me a lot of compassion, made me a better person. Yeah, you can't make it easy. And I wouldn't try to make it easy. Nope. I just say it's really sad, But also never fall apart in front of your kids. Like, it's okay that they see you crying. But I remember I was doing a volunteer stint at a palliative care, and it was I was just going to be working with the kids that their parents were there dying, right? When you go into palliative care, you're there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It's the end, right? The end of the road. So I was there for the kids, and I said, well, and I was new. I don't even know if I ended up doing it. I can't remember if I got through that. I was doing something else too. Anyway, so I asked them. I said, well, am I allowed to cry? Because they wheel out the body and everyone comes around and it's this parade kind of thing. Not a happy one. Parade, wrong word. You know what I mean? So anyway, everyone, all the staff, everyone stands around, and so does the family. It's just something that they do. It's a ritual. And so I said, am I allowed to cry? And they said, yes, but you never cry harder or longer than the family. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? So yeah, I learned that. And so if someone's going through something, I always try and be strong. I don't fall apart. How do you get a 3-year-old to quit hitting, spitting? Put it on the board. Say, stop getting violent. No violence. That includes hitting, spitting, kicking. Just say it like it is. Put it on the behavior board. It's free on my website, BratBusters.com. And then there's a consequence when he does. It's one of the most common things we put on the board. Okay, you said your oldest son is undiagnosed but on the spectrum. Yeah, autism is something that I only discuss in coaching because I can't give any general parenting advice, but a lot of people have bought the courses because it's really focused on you and your leadership qualities. But it's not going to have any specific ideas to deal with your particular child with autism. I do find that there's a lot of variances between kids with autism. And I say when I'm coaching the parents, I say, we're just going to throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. And I need to know what's stuck in the past and what hasn't. And I'm no replacement for any kind of therapy with kids. I'm not a therapist or anything. I'm a parenting coach. I teach parent-child relationship, leadership, right? That's all I teach here. So really, it doesn't matter what kind of diagnosis your kid has. You can still learn how to be a leader, right? So you might want to check out the course. But if you need any really specific ideas, that would be coaching. Personalized. Okay. I am going to hop over to, where am I going? Instagram. And I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. But then I hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. I go from my smallest platform up to my biggest. And anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching. If you want to work with me, I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Oops, keep changing how you do this. Okay. Okay, so I'm just waiting for Instagram people to come in. They come in one big clump. It's really weird. It's the only platform that does that. I've looked up why, and I don't know. It didn't tell me. Yeah, the potty course. Yeah. Yeah, I do have this book, but I would never sell this because it's too hokey. But yeah, I probably, if you just look up when I talk about potty training, I do use incentive. It's a treat system. My son was trained in 1 day and my daughter was trained in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. But I was already a leader. So they kind of knew when mom came in with something that was going to happen anyway, right? So they didn't tend to question me very much. Okay, so let's get going with the live. I'm on Instagram now and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Oh yeah, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. Sorry, my head's just in another place. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching if you do want to work with me one-on-one. There's a big wait list for that, but I'll get to you eventually. And you can look into the podcast. It's BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. And with coaching, every so often, I know people get frustrated waiting on there. But you know, what we did, the prices doubled in the last year. And that's what people say to do. If the demand's really high, you double your prices or keep going up and up and up. But the wait list got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm not comfortable increasing my prices right now, but I will get to eventually. Also, what happens is most clients rehire me, and they always, once they're in, they always take precedence over the wait list. So that's what happens. But I am planning on sending out a couple of invoices tonight for new clients. So the wait list will be going down. That's good. Okay. But, you know, there's lots of other stuff that's free. Like the podcast is free. I go into the most detail in the podcast. And we've got enough of them now. I don't know how many. I have no idea how many we've done because we started it about a year ago. But anyway, if you look up BratBusters Parenting Podcast and then just put a topic at the end of it, we've probably done a podcast on it. And the behavior board's free. And I got thousands and thousands of videos out there. They're all free. So coaching is more of like an elite sort of thing. Like you don't necessarily need that. Elite, that's not a very good word. It makes me sound so special. What's a better word? Just expensive, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Elite. Sounds so snotty. Okay. Okay, you're asking about food. I really can't go on about that because I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, so I can't specifically discuss food. It comes up a lot in coaching, and I will tell stories about my own kids, but not giving advice. I'm just telling a story. Get where I'm coming from? And I just discussed that on Facebook just a few minutes ago, so I don't feel like going into that again. Okay, good question. Should you be adding additional behavior boards? Yeah, it's all explained in my free behavior board on my website. The first week you have one behavior board. The second week you have two. Now you have 2 rules, 2 behaviors that you're working on. The third week you have 3. You don't go past that. What you do in week 4 and beyond is the course. That's where we go into detail about how you get off the boards. Like I would never use a behavior board. I want the kids looking right at me, but it's a great teaching tool, right? And plus, I mean, I'm level 10 with this because I invented all this stuff. But if I wasn't, I would start with a behavior board. So it's just teaching you how to focus on one behavior per week, okay? And then after that, you're sort of dealing with everything, but it's more in the moment discipline. It doesn't need to be on a board. You just follow through with the procedure. Well, that was bad, so here's a consequence. That's how it goes after the boards. Yeah, I don't sell it separately anymore. Do you know why I don't? I don't sell any mini courses anymore. Do you know what we've realized? The really big mistake that we did that. For years there, I was selling all my mini courses, tantrums, aggressive behavior, potty training. Almost every single day, someone would ask questions around, yeah, okay, I've potty trained, but what about that? They kept asking questions that weren't in that course, but it just wasn't working, you know, because we got just hundreds and hundreds of emails asking questions around other behaviors because they just bought the mini course. So just on one behavior or one thing. So yeah, we realized it has to be all encompassing. So yeah, the big picture stuff, right? Because it is kind of hard to just focus on one thing with kids. If I was just to teach you how to stop hitting, but they might be doing a million other things too. Like it's sort of, and it's not about them really, it's about you. Well, it's not about them at all. It's about you. I'm teaching parenting here. I'm not fixing kids. I'm fixing and teaching parents. I'm setting you up as a leader, and then they follow you. They follow a leader. When you're a really calm leader, you never yell. You deal with discipline, but you focus on the good kid. I'm all about connecting. Discipline is a tiny part of all this. It's just something that has to be done. Get it out of the way. That's how I treat it. Well, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now let's go to the park. That's how I talk. It's like that. That's the pool story. If you want to know more about my style, what really the pool story explains it just in a nutshell. If you just Google BratBusters pool story, it'll come up. I got tons of videos. I just can't tell that story again. I'll self-destruct. I've told it so many times. Okay. This one's kind of tough for me because I have a really strong opinion on it. And I'm going to try not to go on about it too much. This is from Sammy. How do you deal with behaviors that stem from a 5-year-old with the verbal comprehension of a 7 to 10-year-old and very, very high IQ, but emotionally is their actual age? So yeah, they're just the same as every single other kid. Don't single them out. Okay, my son was labeled gifted. I treated him like every single other kid. I don't see it as an advantage. Anything that separates them from their peers is actually more of a challenge than anything. It made school easy for him, for sure. But I kept him mainstreamed. I treated him like any other kid. I don't treat them different. And I didn't make it a big deal because I always said you never take pride or never take credit for something that you were born with. Like if you're born really good looking or really smart, you got a really high IQ, you can't take credit for that. Nope, you were just lucky. Treat it as like be grateful for it, but don't take pride in it. Okay. I put pride in being nice. I really like humor. My kids were very funny too. They were kind. And they were hardworking. That's what I put pride in. But yeah, don't focus on that stuff. Treat them like any other kid. Do you still consequence bad behavior that's not on the board? I knew someone was going to ask that, as you should. So you've got the board. Let's say you're just week 1. You've got one behavior on that one board. You just say no hitting, but they're doing a million other things wrong. I can't help you with that. We're just focused on teaching you how to follow through with this. It's a system. And you're only going to focus on that one thing. If you were to apply those consequences to everything else, it wouldn't work. So it's a standalone. So everything else, just suffer through it and just focus on that board. The idea is once you start getting better at this, you will start dealing with everything else the same way. But for now, no. It's a standalone. I don't want to go on too much about that, but I get this all the time in coaching. Okay, so we hired you to deal with this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and we're only dealing with this week. And I go, yeah, everything else, because we're going to master one thing. We're just going to master one behavior, one battle, one rule. We're going to master that. Then the second one, we're going to master the second one. Doesn't mean they're not still breaking the rule, but we're really good at dealing with it. Okay. So then by week 2, you start to get more confident. By week 3, you should be a lot more confident if you're following through and being consistent. You're on there too. If you're not on the board, you're a dictator. You're not a leader. A leader is always accountable too, because they're watching you. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. You want to show that you're accountable, then they will be too, right? So yeah, by week 3, now you've just built your skills up. I'm just teaching you how to do this. You're building up your skills. So then by week 4, you should be able to deal with everything. Is it going to be easy? No, you should start to see maybe some results after three weeks, maybe 3 to 6 weeks. But it takes 3 to 6 months before it's cemented. And the attitude is the very last thing to go. You never address bad attitude. Their bad attitude is just, it's on you. It means that you're not a leader yet. They don't have a bad attitude or sass with a leader. They just don't. So yeah, if they have a bad attitude, that's on you. You got to fix yourself, not them. And their attitude will go away, but it happens organically over a period of time. I've worked with hundreds of kids and troubled teens, and they treated me really well. But I gave respect to get it. I was a leader, so they treat leaders very well. Have you ever had like a coach or a teacher or a grandparent that you kind of looked up to, like a mentor? That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. My goal is always to make them like themselves when they're with me. When they feel good, they do good. When they feel bad, they do bad. That's why I don't discuss bad behavior. You're just trying to make them feel bad. Well, you should know better. Why would you do that? Next time, how are you going to act? Could you imagine if your spouse said that to you? Think about it. It's patronizing and insulting. Yeah, I never discuss bad. I don't talk like that. I just say, yeah, you did that. Oh, well, here's your consequence. We all make mistakes, right? We all do. Oh, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. Okay, this is it's gown. Okay. I taught myself to say please, but now he yells, banana, please. You taught yourself to say please. I taught myself to say please. Now, how do I stop him from becoming bossy? I just started your toddler course. Okay. Again, I think that's in the attitude department. He'll stop talking like this. If he goes, banana, please, like a demand, just say, ooh, may I please have a banana? How old? I don't know how old he is. He's 3. Correct. Tell him how you want it to be said. But the answer can be no. So I would still correct him. And you say, oh, that was loud. You say, may I please have a banana? He says, may I please have a banana? Then I might say, well, maybe have one later. I'm not quick to say no. I don't mind the word no at all. I don't have a problem with it. But I'd say, I'll tell you what, we're going to have one later. But for now, we're going to go do blah, blah, blah. See how I'm in control? I'm controlling the narrative. I'm controlling what's going to happen. But I'm not just saying no. It makes you look like you're afraid of them. I do say no. If they do something naughty, I'll say no. Say no, and then here's the consequence. But yeah, in that situation, I'd be more likely to say, well, we're going to have a banana later. So here's what we're going to do. You might still have a fit. That's okay. That's okay. Their fits, scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums are them processing this leadership. That's where the lessons are. That's like that 8-year-old kid that I was asked to work with. I'd heard about him. He was a handful. I hadn't met him before. And they asked me to work with him this one day. I said, sure. So I sat down with him and I said, hi, I'm Lisa. And he looked at me and he goes, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, I was leaning in all nicely. And then I went like this, bring it on. No anger, nothing. And he never did. He was great with me. You could almost see the relief in his face. Like, oh, she knows what she's doing. Finally. Like, they want a leader. They crave and want leadership when they come up against one. Now, I have no history with them. That's different too. Okay. Now, so when you're learning leadership, you've got a history of not being a leader. But he could just tell. I knew what I was doing, and I didn't try and stop the scene. I don't care. None of my business if he has a fit. I could care less. I'm just, well, bring it on. Like, in other words, I'll be over here waiting for you to stop. That was my attitude. But he never did. It was great. Is that on us? Me? How can I make sure I'm better for them? Well, I don't know exactly what I was talking about, but everything's on you. You know, parenting, leadership. I teach leadership here. You can't change other people. They have to change themselves, even kids, right? But they're looking at you, your leadership, your organization, your consistency. That's all stuff they look up to. But really, your connection is number one. If you're not connected with your kids, none of this works. None. I've never worked with a kid that I didn't connect with. And plus, I never did group stuff. I teach parenting. Teaching is very different. That's why a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. Though I couldn't do their jobs. They're businesses. Parenting is personal. It's just different. Okay. And you need to connect with that kid as a parent. So that's why connection is number one. Do you have any ideas for punishments for 3-year-olds? Yep. Check out my free behavior board. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on there. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. You know, even when I was working with kids, and I specialize in troubled teens and mentoring them, it's all volunteer work. And even with them, if they did something, when I was starting to work with them and they didn't know me, and if they did something vile, sometimes these teenagers, it was all new to me, I'll tell you, I was new at that. But anyway, when I first started. So if they do something, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I never blame them because it's not the way you want to do it. It wasn't my fault. They weren't my kids. I just met them, you know, but a leader always looks in a mirror and says, what am I missing here? How am I going to turn this around? So that was the way I always approach kids. I always blame myself, not them. Always. It's the way I do it. So that's what I recommend. And a lot of parents say, oh, my kid's so out of control. And then they kind of get frustrated sometimes. And I say, well, if you're a leader, they won't be. It just says that they don't respect you. Okay. Toddlers are different. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 is a direct result of your parenting. Okay. Before that, they're kind of nuts anyways. Toddlers are a bit of a wild card. And teenagers, it's a little bit, it shifts and changes a little bit. You want to give more leadership over to them. There's a lot more negotiating. Actually, I'll read out, they're my favorite age, actually, teenagers. Okay, so I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity, right? Give respect to get it. Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, I would say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off. In other words, it's okay to make mistakes, just like you did, just like you do. We all do, right? Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. There's never a time to discuss bad times. You deal with it and then you let it go, okay? Yeah, I don't want to go on about that. Sometimes I do. Number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. They will die on any hill. Even if you both know that you're right, and you're not always right, by the way, but if you both know you're right, they'll still die on that arguing hill. So don't do it. Just say, I'll tell you what, let's just forget it, or let's talk about it later. And just leave it at that. Short but sweet. Leave it at that. Okay, that's my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. The reason why they're my favorite age is they're more complex. They're more interesting, really, because they're complex, right? They're developed. Their brain power as a teenager, if you're not learning with teenagers, you're missing out, because their brain power is at its peak. I'm 65. I think I have a pea floating around in there at this stage. It's all shriveled up. But yeah, their brain power is powerful. They just don't have the wisdom or the experience yet, right? But they can, if you throw an idea at a teenager, just shut up and let them talk. Just see what they come up with. It's fascinating. I find teenagers fascinating. They are so freaking smart. They're just, because their brain is their power, like it's just so much, they're quick. They haven't got all those cobwebs in there, right? And they also they're not too biased yet. They haven't got a lot of opinions yet. They're just forming. So you get a really interesting point of view on a lot of topics with a teenager. And if they don't feel free to open up and share all this stuff with you, you got some work to do. As a leader, you want them to tell you everything. You want them to share ideas. You want them to negotiate stuff with you. That's what parenting teenagers is all about. And I'll give you a small example of that. My son used to love heavy metal music. He actually is a real musical connoisseur. He'll listen to any genre. But I just didn't get it. I hated heavy metal music. But he started showing me songs that I actually ended up really liking. And now to this day, I still listen at the gym. I listen to a lot of Slipknot, NWA, just the old stuff, the best of album. I don't like the other albums. Anyway, NWA, if you know, you know. But yeah, I would never have listened to that music if I didn't have a son and an open mind, right? He just made me appreciate music in a different way. Okay, I already discussed bedtime on Facebook, so I won't go into that again. But if you look up bedtime, just look up BratBusters bedtime. I got tons of videos on that. So it'll probably come up. Well, it won't probably come up. It will. I'm curious now. How many? Yeah, it's just if I've talked about a topic once on a live, I don't know if you want to. Because I'm on YouTube the whole time, and I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. Bedtime. BratBusters bedtime. Oh, tons of videos. Tons and tons and tons of videos. It's even a podcast on it. So if you want to look up the podcast, just scroll down. It's like maybe the third thing down on Google. And if you just Google BratBusters bedtime, whole podcast on it. So there you go. Do you know what's so good about that podcast? Well, my daughter and I, it's the only time we ever work together, because we both work in the same business, like BratBusters, but we don't ever work together except the podcast. Plus, I have a lot of guilt around the wait list with coaching. I just do, because I'm in the caring field. But the podcast is so much information on there that I don't feel guilty anymore, And even if I quit coaching one day, the only reason I still coach is because I love doing it. We don't need me to coach, but I love coaching. But yeah, I had a lot of guilt around it. But since the podcast came out, I don't feel guilty about the wait list as much anymore. So, because there's so much information in that podcast. Okay, you asked about a 3-year-old. They're still testing you. They don't usually test at 3, a 3.5 for sure. So why would they? If they know 100% what the outcome is going to be. Plus, if you're really fun, they don't want to ever see. I get real boring and quiet when my kids ever acted out. So I'm a real loud, goofy mother, and they like that. I was always chatting, laughing, singing, and all that stuff. And but I would just say to them, "Oh, I need some no kid time, so scram," and they'd happily skip away because I was so connected to them. Right? You can get away with a lot more once you're a leader. By the way, things change a lot once you're a leader. You're always consistent, but you just get away with more. It's like if my kids, they both tried this once. Oh, he's your favorite. And I said, of course he is. I love him way more than I love you. And then they both go, oh, never mind. So I would never suggest you talk like that to a kid unless you're already a leader, because they get that it's just sarcasm, right? So, but yeah, what was I talking about? I forgot. Doesn't matter. Okay. NWA, yeah. Yeah, if you know, you know. I remember I used to have a sunroof in my van, because you have a van when you got kids and you're driving all the kids around. And I used to have to close the sunroof and all the windows whenever I'd play that. And because I had BratBusters on the back of my van. So I thought it didn't look good for my business to be playing NWA. Oh, I don't understand this. I'm going to read it out. Do you keep the old rules after 6 weeks? Actually, I'll focus on that instead. Okay, so then I said, that by 3 to 6 weeks, you should start to see results. You're still consistent. So yeah, the rules always apply. The rules are, if you're bad, there's going to be a consequence. That's just the way it is. Also, if I'm bad, there's going to be a consequence. If I said I was going to make muffins or something, that's one of my favorite stories, the muffin story. If I promised my kids I was going to make muffins and I didn't, I'd be taking them to the water slide park the next day. You got to be accountable, right? So yeah, rules always apply. But the thing is, once you're a leader, they're never broken anymore. Why would they? If they know 100%, like if my kids had ever broken a rule, they would have looked at me right away and gone, oh, I broke a rule. How about no TV tonight, Mom? Like they would have just offered themselves, right? And I'd say, sure, okay, it's no big deal. But it hardly ever happened. I was usually the one in trouble. My kids weren't. So yeah, the thing is that once you're a leader, they don't tend to act out anyway. But you got to work to get there. I worked my butt off to be a leader, It was easy for me because I had so much practice, like before I had kids. But yeah, leadership is the key, because then you don't have to discipline or anything anymore. They're self-disciplined, right? I always told my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom and that's my job. So yeah, if you make a poor choice, I'm going to come in and say, yeah, that was a poor choice. Here's your consequence. Lesson learned, right? So they really were raised to think that they were in control of their own lives, which they were. It's all up to you. You make a mistake, there's going to be a consequence. Like if I make a mistake, there's going to be a consequence, right? They learned that from a very young age. Very, very young, 3 to 3.5, I would say. I want to have another 6 weeks adding some new rules in addition to the ones before. You don't have to keep adding it. The behavior boards are just visual tools. Once you've done 3 weeks and you've done it well with 3 different rules, 3 different behavior boards, then they know right from wrong past the age of 3. You're not teaching them right from wrong, right? They already know it. But now when they do something naughty, you don't need it written down. You just say, oh, that was naughty. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you to do that. You don't have to go to the board anymore. You just follow through with the system. It's just teaching you a system, right? And by the way, this is how it's done, okay? When you go to the board, you go over to it like you've never seen it before. So when you're first starting this with the behavior board, So you put down, let's say you've got a 4-year-old and they hit. So you put no hitting on the board. Your rule is no yelling. Make sure you mess up so that you show them how this is done. So most parents, I say, make sure you yell because you want to show them how this is done. Most parents go, no problem. Most parents yell. I've never been yelled at. I never yelled, but because I knew what else to do, right? But if you don't know what else to do, you probably yell. So anyway, let's say the rule is no hitting and they hit. You go, oh, okay, let's go to the board. You don't discuss it away from the board when you're first starting this. So you go over to the board and you go, and I'm going to do worst case scenario. This is a 4-year-old who knows he's in trouble. He won't even go with you. So you say, okay, let's go to the board. And now you walk over to the board and you know he's not following you. It doesn't matter. You're a leader. You follow through with this stuff. It's up to him whether or not he follows along. That's none of my business. So I'm walking over to the board all by myself like a loser, right? That's okay. So I'm at the board and I go, now let me see. Now your rule was no hitting. Ooh, I'm all alone here. Oh, well, your rule was no hitting. So the consequence was, oh, do a chore within 50, or let's just say pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes. Then you go, oh, I'm still alone here. So you see how I'm leading. I'm just following through with what needs to be done. I don't care if they're there or not. Now I go and find them. And I say, I'll tell you what, your consequence is no hitting in 10, or pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes. And that starts now. Now I stop talking. I go where the toys are and I count the toys if he picks them up. I don't care if he does it or not, though. Don't worry about what they do. Only worry about what you do. I could care less if he picks up toys. Means nothing to me. Okay. Ooh, let me see. 5 more minutes. Don't say to pick up toys. He already knows. He already knows. It's all this explaining that gets you in trouble. It makes you look like you're scared. Ooh, 1 more minute. Now he might start running around, start picking up toys. And then you go 1. Oh, that's 2 toys. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, let's go to the board. You go to the board and you say, okay, so you had to pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes and that wasn't done. He didn't do it. I don't care if he picks up 20 toys. After that alarm goes, he didn't do it. Now I'm at the board again. So I said, well, let me see now. Your rule was no hitting and you hit, or then your consequence was pick up 10 toys in 10 minutes. See how I'm talking? I'm a leader. I'm calm. And that didn't happen. So we're going to go straight to 24 hours of no screens. And that starts now. Now you look at them and you go, do you understand? Let the poop hit the fan. You got 24 hours of media blackout. It started. It's over. Everything. Now you finished your job. It's up to him to process it. Don't get involved in that. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Whatever. I'm going to go do the dishes now. Who cares? That's his job to process this. It's not yours. I'm calm as anything. As soon as he's calmed down, oh, yeah, you want to go read a book or do you want to go to the park? No, I hate you. I hate. Okay, never mind. When he's calmed down again, oh, well, how about you want to go read a book? See, I'm trying to connect now. I'm not discussing that. No way am I discussing all that. The consequence, the hitting. It's over. I'm finished with it. He's not, but I am. See how calm I am? And I'm trying to connect. As soon as he's calmed down, you want to go read a book? No, I hate you. You see the calmness? Okay. It's hard to argue with a calm, loving person forever. It's impossible after a while. He'll clue in. But the problem is that this is like going a step ahead. But if you yell, you go a step back. So it's the yelling that makes this whole tank. So, and it's the loss of control. If you look angry or disappointed or frustrated, you go back a step. You got to be calm as anything. Okay. Whenever I give my 3-year-old a consequence, she doesn't seem to care if I take the fun away. If it's never working, there's other things we can do. You just got to find something better that bothers her. Obviously, you're not ticking the box, something that she really doesn't want to lose. You're just not finding the right consequence usually. And oftentimes they will say, well, I don't care, but they're just saying that, trying to get on your nerves. But I would say, oh, well, that's good for you then. Yeah, okay. Doesn't bother me. See how calm I am? But I'm still trying to connect with them. Not while they're yelling at me, but as soon as they're done. Oh, do you want to go play a game? It throws them off. I don't discuss bad behavior. I deal with it and then I move on. Because I'm a leader. I'm a calm leader. And I'm fun. I want to have fun with kids. My nickname with kids was Fun Lisa. Not very imaginative, but it was cute. And but yeah, my goal is always that I'm connected. That is why this all works so well. And if you're not connected with kids, I wouldn't even recommend doing all this stuff. Like, you connect with them first, and you always connect with them in their world, not yours. Okay. So and that's why your consequence, you've got a rule and a consequence. Your consequence is always connecting with them. Like, it's 10 minutes of hide and seek or something that you don't normally do that they're always asking you to do. That's your consequence. Anyway, I got to go over to TikTok now. If you don't want to join me over there, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. And you can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. There's a big wait list, but I'll get to that eventually. Or the podcast, completely free and no wait list. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And if you go on YouTube, you can see our 7-series podcast on calm leadership. It has all the basics for all this calm leadership stuff. Anyway, thanks so much for... someone said, that must have been very beautiful. What a thing to say. I was never yelled at. Yeah, I was never yelled at, ever. I was adopted, and by 2 very patient people who were very loving, and yeah, never yelled at. I always felt really heard and respected. And that's how I think I raised my kids. So anyway, okay, I got to go over to TikTok now. It's BratBusters Parenting over there. Happy parenting. Okay. Yeah, all the rules always apply. Like, it's like, because someone asked, you still keep the rules? Yeah, I do, but they're not written down. They just know right from wrong. Once they know right from wrong, which they do past the age of about 2.5 to 3, I don't explain it. They just know if they do something naughty, I say, oh, that was naughty. Here's a consequence. The more you explain, the more they complain. I don't debate bad behavior. I don't get pulled into that. I didn't know. Well, you'll know next time. In the meantime, here's your consequence. You see, I just follow through, calm as anything. The thing is, I have no fear of a scene, none. Their fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums are their lessons. So I have no fear of it. It's like, to me, it's productive. It's like, oh, okay, that's good that you're having a scene there. So you're working it out, right? Yeah, that's okay. It's none of my business. You let them process the fact that you're a leader. That's okay. That you're not going to put up with hitting and all that stuff. It's okay that they don't like that. That's okay. Too many parents that when I'm coaching, a really common mistake is to continually explain things. Not fair, but I didn't hear you. But why? But why? Once I've gone to that board, or once I've said, well, that was naughty, here's your consequence, it's over. It's over. They already understand. They're just manipulating you. They know right from wrong. When they play dumb, a lot of parents get pulled into that. I don't, ever. Okay, so welcome to the live. Yeah, I got enough people here. Welcome to the live. I'm on TikTok now. It's my last stop at the end of the live. And I'm always on YouTube. Whenever I do a live, that's where I save all of my lives, is on YouTube. Anyway, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching, the big wait list for that, but I'll get to it eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. If you want to watch us do it, you can see it on YouTube. Otherwise, it's on all the platforms. It's the only time my daughter and I are ever together when we're working, because we work in our separate homes, offices. So, but we do the podcast together. So she's in charge of most things around here. I do all the parenting stuff, but she does all the marketing, all the planning for the business. Okay. Why do children go wild when dad is gone? I do not listen, even though I feel I'm firm. Oh, I don't use the term firm or strict, or yeah, I don't use that term. A leader is what I teach. So just, you might be new here, so just keep watching. Or you can look on, if you go on YouTube, look up BratBusters Parenting on YouTube. And in the playlist, it has 7 podcast series on calm leadership. It's all the basic information for BratBusters. Has a whole bunch of other stuff in there too. But we did those 7 podcasts in 7 days just to bundle them up to send people there if they're new here. It's all the basic information with BratBusters. I teach leadership. I'm not firm. I don't talk like strict or anything like that. Not at all. Not at all. That's authority. I don't teach authority. I don't do that. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not my style. And also, I'm extremely opinionated in all this stuff because I've been doing it for 50 plus years with kids. But it's probably not the only way. It's like religion or anything you really believe in that has worked well for you and, you know, all these kids and teenagers I've worked with. But I'm sure there's other ways out there. So if I don't resonate with you and if you're not going to follow through with what I'm recommending, please move on to someone else, because I'd rather you listen to someone and take action, because information without action is just kind of an entertainment, right? So I'd rather you take action. So if it's not with me, you know, with someone else. But there are 3 criteria, I think, if you're going to take parenting advice. The person has to have found it easy, because if you didn't find parenting a piece of cake, why on earth are you teaching it? And they have to have finished the job. If they haven't lived with teenagers, I don't think they can be teaching parenting, because that's you want to know what's coming to teach parenting. You want to know what to invest in today to get through those teen years easily. And then the third one is they have to have worked with hundreds of other kids. I didn't learn a lot with my own kids. They didn't provide me with any challenges, really, because I was a leader from day one. But all the kids I worked with, I had to work my butt off to get their respect. So that's where I really learned a lot of this stuff. And I'm sure there's lots of other people out there like that too. And as if you're taking parenting advice, you don't want to take it from someone that you can relate to. Well, I'm struggling too. So you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, yeah, it was easy for me. Here's what I did, or here's what I do. There's certain things that you want it to be relatable, but this isn't one of them. Yeah. And it's experience-based. Like a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs. You know, wow. But those are businesses. Very, very different. There's no PhD in parenting, you know, I guess, unless, you know what I think the PhD is when your kids grow up, they're high functioning adults, they're nice, they're good people, and they say, I'm going to parent the same way I was parented. That is the PhD, I would assume. Child discipline tips. Well, just keep watching. I got lots of them. But, you know, discipline is a tiny part of what I teach. I'm really about connecting with kids. And the more connected you are with kids, they tend to look up to you. You make them feel good about themselves. You connect in their world, not yours. Everything gets easier. Plus, you know, a lot of parents say, well, you know, I'm fun. You always talk about being fun and connecting with kids in their world. We're fun all the time. But you know what? I'll kind of delve into that in coaching more, and I'll say, yeah, but do they ever blah, blah, blah? And they go, well, yeah, sometimes they get out of control. Now, let's say a good example of this was I used to chase my kids around the house with underpants on my head every day because I do the laundry and they'd start yelling and screaming all excited because I was going to become the panty monster, right? So I'm putting all these and I put all my underpants on my head. So anyway, I was doing that. If my kids had ever been disrespectful or rude in any way, I would have instantly stopped and gone, we'll try again tomorrow. And I would have just quietly taken the panties off my head. They wouldn't have said a word. They would have known. You see, so even though we were connecting, I was still always making sure they were nice kids. You see what I mean? So even though I played hard with my kids, I still made sure that if they did get out of control, even while we're playing, I wouldn't necessarily, you know, do anything because it was just maybe they just got a bit wild and jumped on the couch or something. I would just say, I'll tell you what, we'll try again tomorrow. They got the message really quick. So then they wouldn't do it again, right? Why would they? They like the panty monster. Why would they act out? They like fun mom. Should you always intervene in sibling conflict? If someone's getting hurt, 100% yes. I got lots of videos on that, by the way. I think I did. Actually, I should always have this on here when I'm talking to you guys. I'm just going to look up my channel. Just a sec. BratBusters. I'm going to see if I have a podcast on that. Sibling rivalry. I know we've done a podcast on that. So just let me see here. So if you go on my channel, BratBusters Parenting, this is YouTube. Sibling rivalry. Let's see if it pops up. Yeah, there we go. And we did it a year ago, and it's conflict to connection, managing sibling rivalry. And I've got lots of videos on it too. Tons of videos on it. So if you want to see the podcast, that's the first thing that comes up. And then I got tons of short form videos after that. Sibling rivalry. Yeah. It's just, there's so many different ways of answering that question, and you'll probably find an answer in there because of their ages. You discipline a 2-year-old very differently from a 5-year-old, and watch it. Sometimes, a lot of parents go after the hitter. They're often the ones who are being antagonized, and they're just at their wit's end because you don't know what you're doing. They take control and hit the little one. What's the little one doing to cause that? So oftentimes parents target the wrong kid. I go after both. If one's hitting, I go after that one too. But they learn that mom knows what she's doing. So if the little one's, doing something, being a pest with the older one, I control the little one, right? So you got to know what's going on. And this is really funny, but a lot of times parents will hire me and I'll say, well, who's our target? There's usually one kid that's a target. If they've got a lot of kids, there's often two. And I'll say, okay, so that's our target this week. And they say it's always our target, but it often changes because we'll figure out that the other kid is really annoying that kid. And that's why they're always acting out. So oftentimes the parents are even unaware that the target is actually the other one, the one that's just, annoying the other one, and very sneakily, so the parents don't see it. So the target can change. You got a 2-year-old boy. I've done everything in your videos consistently with the hitting. Okay, he must be getting a lot of hits in. And I often say this too, is they get muscle memory almost with hitting. They get so used to doing it that it gets harder and harder to stop. But if a kid is a hitter, if they come near me, I might even grab their hands before they even get near me to hit. And I just say, I'll tell you what, let's go sing a song or something. I'm in control of the narrative. I'm pulling them away from hitting. So I try and prevent it. I set up systems. I'm really on top of that, especially with violence and aggressive behavior with little kids. I'm on top of that. I don't like them to come in for a hit and then I correct. I try and get them before they do it. So that's like if you've got a runner and you're at the park and you say, well, as soon as I say we're going, they take off. And I say, well, I would never do that. If I know I had a runner, I would just casually stroll over, grab their wrist, and then say, okay, now we're leaving. See how I've controlled the situation? I'm always one step ahead of them. So especially little kids. And if you've got a runner, that's a life and death situation. You don't want them running on a road. And I've looked after kids who've run. So I make sure I just meander over, oh, what's going on over there? And you don't just grab their hand. It's easier for them to pull away. I just grab their wrist and, just keep a firm hold. Don't hurt them, obviously, but just so they can't get away. And they will drop and scream sometimes. That's okay. That's none of my business. Their fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums are their lessons. That is where they're learning. I'm in charge. They're not. Okay. But they really are in charge. Once they get this, they're in charge of what they do. Right. But if they make a mistake, I'm in charge. But they learn, well, wait a minute. If I'm good, life is good. If I'm bad, life ain't so good, because she'll make sure of that. That's what I told my kids. So it's really up to you. You'll never get a consequence if you never make a mistake. I'll never get a speeding ticket if I never speed, right? I'll never get a parking ticket if I never park illegally, right? It's up to me. It's not it's not the cop's fault or the poor ticket lady. They're traumatized, those poor ticket. They're just doing that. They're just policing you for doing the wrong thing. But people get mad at those people. We get have like meters out front, or the paid parking out front. Every so often I'll see someone arguing. I was just gone for 5 minutes. You entitled little snit. I know exactly how they were raised. This poor parking ticket person. You can just see they're trained to be able to deal with that. But yeah, that person was not raised with accountability, right? It is up to you. It's not their fault that you're getting a ticket. It's your fault. It's not your parents' fault that you're getting a consequence. It's your fault. My kids got that at 3. They got that. They would apologize to me for having to give them a consequence. Sorry, Mom, I know I was wrong. That's okay. I make mistakes too. It's no big deal. They got that. It was their decision to make that poor move. It was their choice. You see, but that's where you want to go. That's where you want to get to. You got some work to get there. Yeah, sometimes you can get tickets for bad reasons. Yeah. Then you would probably fight that one, right? I got a ticket. Oh, I got my car towed. And I looked at the sign and I couldn't figure out what had happened. And then a neighbor came out and said, yeah, they're towing illegally and they shouldn't be doing it. And I never even bothered to fight it. It cost me like $200-300. It was ridiculous. It's just not worth it. But yeah, and I'm a fanatic parker. I always park, perfectly. And the neighbors said, yeah, they'd all complained about it. And then I went back a few weeks later and they changed the sign. So, and it said no parking, but yeah, they were ticketing legally. I'm not a fighter. I thought, forget it. Oh, you're very welcome, Shay. I'm a new mom, due in 3 weeks. How soon should I start disciplining parenting? Okay, here's my best advice for babies. Love them up. If they cry, pick them up if you can. It's just about love and nurturing and playing with them and singing with them and reading books to them. It's all this lovey, all that kind of stuff. You can start teaching them right from wrong at about 10 months old. If they hit you, you just go, no, and then you redirect. So you redirect until they're about 16, 17 months when they turn into toddlers. Then you can start taking stuff away. So you're not just redirecting. So because they're already starting to learn right from wrong now, they know they shouldn't hit you. So if they hit you, say no, then you remove them from the fun or remove fun from them. It's really quick though. Then it's no anger in any of this. There's no dragging it out and discussing it. Just do it. They learn through quick actions, consistent corrective actions. They learn through repetition. But yeah, even babies can learn right from. I remember once years ago, I don't remember this. I can never remember the situation, but anyway, I had like a couple of babies I was looking after, and they were about 9, 10 months old. And one was a biter and was biting this other kid on the head, or went to bite him. And I just held their hands and I looked at them and I said, no. Like, you never say no to a baby that they're going to cry. You want them just to look at you like, what? So I said, no. And then I was playing with them and singing songs. And then they went to bite again and they literally stopped and looked up at me. I thought, wow, got in there. Probably bit later on too when parents took over. But anyway, so they can start to learn, but it's never really discipline. It's just showing them right from wrong when they're babies, showing them not to hit or not to grab stuff or, not to bite. The only time, I always say I've never yelled at my kids, but I screamed at both my kids when I was breastfeeding and they bit me. And I didn't scream at them. I screamed out in pain, scared the bejeebies out of them. I think my son did it a couple more times, but my daughter never did it again. It scared the bejeebies. And they both screamed too. Like, it's the only time. But it was just screaming out in pain. Oh, that hurt. Yeah, once they get teeth, it's a different thing. We need you for dealing with adult babies. Someone said that on YouTube. Yeah, autism. I teach parenting here. So your leadership parenting is kind of across the board, even if your kids have disabilities or challenges or different diagnoses, basically. But if you want any really specific advice on behavior with kids and how you manage it effectively, autism, I can't really generalize. They're all so different. It depends where they are on the spectrum. Are they mainstream? Do they have support, at school, whatever, and the ages and all that? That's coaching. But generally, parenting, I teach leadership parenting. It doesn't matter what's going on with the kid. You want to set yourself up as a calm leader, calm, loving, fun leader. You want to do that for your children, regardless of what they're going through, what challenges or whatever. And I worked when I was mentoring kids. They all had challenges. Like I was always there mentoring kids who had behavioral issues or learning disabilities, and then I also did some volunteer work in a facility for children with severe disabilities. Did that. That was just holding them and all that kind of stuff and singing to them. So I've worked with all sorts of kids, but connection is connection, right? And that's really what I'm teaching here. You want to make them feel special. You want to make them feel like you really enjoy their company. That's connection. It's not compliments. It's not praise. Praise is okay, but a lot of parents use too much praise and too little play. Play is their love language. A good example that I always use is if you have a 5-year-old little boy and you go up to him and you say, you're wonderful, you're good looking, you're smart, you're talented, you can do whatever you want. And I love you, love you, love you. I'm going to go do the dishes now. This is him. You say to that same 5-year-old little boy, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Watch him light up. See, the praise is okay, but it's not his love language. Oh, do you do house calls? God, no. You imagine all the travel. I barely have time to just do the video calls. Yeah. years and years ago, when you first start in business, you'll kind of take business wherever it is. But yeah, I did do a couple of house calls. Big mistake, because you're traveling, parking, then you get in there and they always want you to stay longer and eat something. It just was awful. So then I moved past that, and then I just did now I just do it online. And I got clients all over the world. I do get offered some really fascinating offers from clients who obviously have a lot of money and a lot of power, and they'll want to fly me all up. They want me to travel with them. They want me to live with them and offer me exorbitant amounts of money. I've never done any of that. But yeah, I always say, yeah, if I move in with you for a month, and I mean, they would pay me, it would change our lives, right? There's a foreign, somewhere. And I say, yeah, but what happens after I leave? Yeah, I could go in and be a good leader for your kids, but what happens after I leave? They basically just want me to go in and fix their kids. It doesn't work like that. Oh, how cute. The amount of kids I've raised as a nanny based off your teachings is crazy. Oh, how cute. Yeah, I don't teach nannying or teaching or child psychology, but a lot of those people do hire me. But they have to hire me under the pretense of being parents, because I don't teach that stuff, because I teach parenting. But there's a lot of crossover with all that stuff. But there's a lot that doesn't cross over, because as a nanny, you're not really a leader. You sort of are, but the parents are they're the stars of the show, right? So it's a little bit different. Like when I was working with kids, I couldn't do the disciplines with them because, I was just in a classroom with them. I had no leverage really, but I could take away fun Lisa for a short period of time. They didn't like that. So yeah, it is different. One thing that a lot of parents will take, who are teachers, that will bring home that works beautifully in classrooms, is a reward chart. Now, a reward chart for good behavior works beautifully in a classroom. It's not personal. There's 30 kids on there. It's very visual, and it works beautifully. It's a disaster at home. Home is personal, and it's just different. A reward chart at home with parents and kids is like saying to your kid, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. Imagine if your spouse had a reward chart for you. If you're good today, you'll get a gold star. Ooh, what the hell was I yesterday? It's a real insult, really, if you think about it. It sends the wrong message. A behavior board says you're normally wonderful, but if you should happen to do something bad, then this is how we're going to deal with it. See the difference? Oh, happy birthday, Tabitha. I think you said you were 36. I can't remember. Anyway, happy birthday. It's on YouTube. She turns up to most of my lives. I haven't seen you in a minute on my algorithm. Yeah, this is TikTok. TikTok is, we can blow up and get 10,000 new followers in one day, or we can get like none for months. It's the weirdest thing. TikTok just is, I might show a few videos of hers for a while. I don't know how it works, but it's really weird. 38. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm glad I didn't age you. I underaged you. Yeah, but TikTok, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't feed. Yeah, and I follow a lot of people on my personal TikTok channel, and it doesn't feed me all their stuff. And then I go searching for certain people because I really miss. And I thought, they haven't been doing videos, and they have. Just TikTok doesn't send me there. Send them to me. I don't know why that is. They must have. Listen, they're doing really well. Whatever they're doing, they obviously know what they're doing. So I don't understand all that. Oh, you asked if I've read a book. I've never read a book on parenting or kids. I would find that so annoying. I would go, what are they talking about? Oh, and this and that. Everything I've learned through kids. Kids and teenagers taught me everything. I went right to the source, and I learned what worked with kids. I've never read a book on kids or parenting. I'm sure I'd go insane. I would go, what are they talking about? I couldn't imagine not being annoyed by that. It's not, and it's not that I think that I'm the only way out there, but I only teach my way. I only teach what I know through kids. And why would I look at another book? Right? Yeah, I'd rewrite all the books. It doesn't, but there's probably it's like dieting. There's probably lots of great diets out there, but you're focused on yours. You're committed to yours, the one that you've had experience with, right? Like, let's say you really got fit and you're teaching fitness and dieting and health. Well, and let's say you weren't fit, but now you're super, super fit, right? So you're teaching that. You're not going to teach what other people are teaching. You're going to teach your experience. I'm teaching my own experience, basically. Yeah. But someone asked me that the other day. They said, Well, how many parenting books have you read? Well, not one. I couldn't fathom. I've never looked at videos. I don't know who else is out there. The only way I know anything about what's going on is parents tell me. My clients tell me. So that's the only way I know. I've never looked at another, like I don't look at other coaches. I know nothing about it. Because how would it benefit me in any way? I only teach what I know. So, and I'm not going to learn any more because people are people. Like I've worked with hundreds of kids. So yeah, if I read about, I couldn't imagine being able to do that. It would drive me insane. And yet I've also taught fitness and sewing. And those are two things that I watch tons of other people teaching it for sure. It's totally different. Why is that? Yeah, taught fitness and sewing and studied it, other people, read books on it all the time. Why is that so different? I don't know. Okay, what happens when you're leading at home, but the issue persists at school? Okay, usually the number one, there's two reasons for that. One of them is kind of obscure. Something's upsetting them at school. Not usually the reason though, okay? So that, so something, maybe they have a really bad teacher who picks on them, or I'm not saying that's happening, but that's one reason. The main reason is there's not a lot of challenges at home. You might make sure that their environment suits them. School isn't like that. Maybe they don't have to share anything at home. You know, they're kind of, maybe you're more of a pleaser parent. You make sure that they're sort of appeased and you please them at home. So that's why they're good, because they kind of run the show. Things are going their own way. When they go to school, that doesn't happen that way. So that's the number one reason why kids are good at home and bad at school. It's the number one reason. Could be something else though. Four-year-old hitting and yelling. I've been doing the behavior board, but then he said he likes, sorry, I lost it here. But he likes doing consequences. Does he like losing the media? Well, find a consequence he doesn't like. There's got to be something. Most kids don't like cleaning the toothpaste out of a bathroom sink. They usually don't like cleaning baseboards or window tracks. Just give them a wet rag and cleaning window tracks. They don't usually like those things. But they often like mopping and helping with dishes. And so, yeah, just pick the chores that he doesn't like. They like cleaning windows, you know. But yeah, it's usually, there's things that he doesn't like usually. Well, you've already answered your own question. My 2.5-year-old says no, then laughs. It drives me crazy. What can I do? Stop showing that it drives you crazy. That's why he does it. Yeah. So you already answered that. It's very powerful to get on your parents' nerves when you're little, right? So yeah, just don't let it bother you. Just treat it like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then just go on about your business. Okay, I got to get going now. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. And you can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching. There's a big wait list, but I'll get to that eventually. And the podcast, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. And thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting.